Welcome back with me, Matt Allwright. Now joined by journalist Amy Nicole-Turner and lawyer Nick Freeman. Here's what we're going to be talking about together. First up, should the UK have a Trump-style deportation unit? Reform UK's Zia Yusuf wants to create a new UK deportation command, and it's been compared to ICE in the US. Supporters say it would strengthen border control and restore public confidence, but critics warn that adopting more aggressive tactics could inflame tensions and deepen divisions within communities. I want to know what you think. Then, should we pay GPs bonuses for prescribing fat jabs? Under new government plans, GP practices could earn up to £3,000 a year for prescribing weight loss injections. Obesity costs the NHS around £6.5 billion annually. Is this a smart way to start to tackle a crisis, or do financial incentives inevitably lead doctors to make the wrong choices? Then, are you paying too much tax? Are you confused by tax codes and the changes to the amount of tax that you pay every month? Accountant Mahmoud Reza is here to shed light on it all and explain some of the changes affecting pensioners. Plus, he's got a little tip on how the retired can get a bit more tax-free cash. If you want to call us on 0207 862 2222, we'd love it. Calls from landlines may cost up to 16 pence plus per minute, plus any call setup fees. Calls from mobiles may cost considerably more. If you want to send us a message, head to Facebook and search for Matt Allwright on 5. Wonderful to have you with us, guys. I'm glad, Amy, you've actually brought some colour to the thing.
I
don't know what's happened with me and Nick. It's like
it's
like we had a little chat before we came in.
Looks slightly sombre, don't we?
A little bit.
Polka dots.
Polka dots, yeah. That's just annoying for the director. He hates that. Look at that. Look at that. Should the UK? We're going to move on. Should the UK? Serious business. Have a Trump-style deportation unit. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Reforms UK's Zia Yusuf says his party wants to create a dedicated deportation unit, removing illegal migrants. It's prompted comparisons to the one used in the USA, commonly known as ICE. In his first speech in the role of Home Affairs spokesman, he outlined reforms plans for a British squad.
That's why, upon winning the next election, a reform government will launch an emergency programme to track down, detain and deport all illegal migrants in the United Kingdom. We will create a new agency, UK Deportation Command, which will have just one mission: to track down and detain those in this country illegally. We will rapidly build detention capacity. No chance of bail, no chance of absconding. Detention will mean deportation.
In the US, of course, ICE has been really controversial. The agency's been accused of using aggressive enforcement tactics. Earlier this year, it was involved in the fatal shooting of 2 people in Minneapolis. Critics also argue there are concerns about a lack of transparency and accountability. Those in favour say it would strengthen our border control. Amy, Zia Yusuf has said actually the comparisons don't exist there between ICE and what he plans for the UK. Do you trust him?
Right, so he said, oh no, but it's not really like ICE. But then if you look at it, if you look at the scale, if you look at the language that he's using language like an invasion, he's using language like emergency. He's making us feel fear about this situation, which is exactly what Trump
A lot of people
did.
do feel fear about this situation.
Why do they feel fear about this situation? It's because of talk like this, which leads you to believe this must be a national emergency. Actually, a national emergency is something like climate change, is the cost of living, is this. And also, we are dealing with this. We are already spending so much money to put these people into this, to get them and put them into detention situations, but unfortunately we're not deporting them. So at the moment we have a huge backlog. So if you wanted to take this subject seriously and do something productive that could actually help us out of the situation we're in, you would focus on processing people and actually deporting them, rather than rounding them up in detention camps like Yarl's Wood, where people are taking their own lives and stuck there indefinitely. The UK is one of the only countries, we're an outlier in the EU of not having a limit on how long we can detain people for. These are people who have broken immigration rules. I would say that's more of a civil case rather than a criminal case in itself, and yet we're treating them like criminals.
OK, one of the other things he talks about is scrapping the ECHR, the human rights, the European Human Rights Convention. So to allow people to be processed that much more quickly and on occasions take them straight back where they came from.
But the ECHR isn't the reason why these people are stuck in detention centres. And what Zia Youssef made very clear is he said, no bail, just detain and then deport. But the problem is they're not deporting people. So if you look at some of the vast detention centres that we already have in the UK, and what do they cost? Millions of taxpayer pounds. What is the point of cooping more people up indefinitely sometimes to solve a problem that, when you actually drill down to it, is not the biggest issue facing this country?
Nick, there are people who genuinely are in fear because of what they feel migration has brought to this country. There are also people who would look at the scenes from North America, from Minneapolis, and find that pretty scary as well. Can you see the difference? Do you believe Zia Youssef saying that this is not the model he would be working to?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Amy's highlighted all that's wrong. The current system is completely broken. The previous government couldn't do anything with it. This government, Starmer, came in and said he was going to smash the gangs. He hasn't, and I agree with you. The current system is just not working, and it was he who, in I think last May, referred to this country now being an island of strangers. Can I say, I am completely in favour of immigration. This country is built on the backbone of immigration. I'm from immigrant grandparents. People contribute, they contribute positively. That has to be a good thing. But I also respect the rule of law. And I think if people come here illegally, then they're unlawful. They're breaking the law, and they need to be detained. And you've referred quite rightly to a system in place that just doesn't work. And all he's saying is, I'm going to make the system work. We're going to have a special squad that's going to focus on all the people who enter illegally. We're going to round them up. It's not going to be 7 years from the time they arrive to the time they leave, which is what it takes now, 7 years to exhaust all the systems. They'll be rounded up, they'll be detained because they are unlawful, and they will be processed very quickly, and there will be 5 flights every day taking them back to where they've come. I think that's a really good system, and that shouldn't be confused with people who come here legally. They should be applauded and welcomed. And the current system is actually damaging the legal migration, which we need to encourage.
I mean, net migration has fallen drastically over the last couple of years. It's down to
200 and something.
Yeah, 200 something when it was 900,000. Yeah. So, you know, the current system may be broken, but in some respects, it's going in the right direction
and also,
for somebody like
there's a 63% increase in arrests like this currently. So how is it a national emergency when we're actually making really good stead on that?
I'll explain to you. The people who are leaving are people who provide the wealth of the country, the people who keep the economy going, and the people who are coming in, as illustrated by the fact that 12% of our prison population is now foreign nationals. So the people who are coming in...
That's not over-representative. The population is about 14% of foreign nationals, so they're not overrepresented in the criminal justice system.
I think it's in prisons. I think it's a very high proportion. But we want people to contribute positively. We want people to be here lawfully. If you say it's OK to break the law and it doesn't matter and we're not going to enforce it, we're not going to keep our borders, why have borders? Forget borders. What's the point? We have to respect the rule of law, and at the moment the rule of law is not being actioned, it's not being respected, and that can't be right in any judicial system.
At what's happened
they're not being deported,
in the US, where they are storming into people's workplaces.
I'm not suggesting...
But that's kind of what Zia Youssef is suggesting, I would say.
Well, he's not suggesting they'd be armed. And I think that's got to be a key... That's got to be a key difference.
You're still going into multi-state households where some people have fair reason to stay in the country and others have outstayed their...
Then they don't have a problem.
And you're ripping families apart.
You could see that in certain communities within the UK, if they saw a dedicated deportation command squad coming in, that would get a terrible reaction.
Of course, they're not going to like it, but I can't help it if people don't like breaking the law. The law is here to be obeyed. That's why we have the rule of law.
We already have systems in place to deal with that.
No, we
do not
don't.
need to do this political messaging that we need to crack down and have this tough approach. And in the
system's broken. It doesn't work. You've just told us it doesn't work.
In terms of processing.
Exactly. So what's the point?
We don't need to arrest more people.
But there's no point deporting, saying there's a deportation order, but we're not actually going to deport you.
Okay.
It's impotent, isn't it?
Let's take some calls. Let's take some calls. Philip's in Leicestershire. Sorry, Amy. Philip's in Leicestershire. Philip, would you welcome a deportation squad?
Yes, 100% I would.
OK, what does it look like, Philip? Where do they find these people to make up this squad? I mean, police have a terrible time recruiting at the moment, so where are these guys going to come from?
Well, I'm sure if you advertised for work, I mean, the Army, for an example, We've got an army, we've got a navy, nobody seems to be able to do anything. We've got security, we've got the police. If the police were given different laws, they could go into house. Police don't do anything because they haven't got any power. But if they were given power to go in and remove people, deport them, then that's what they'd do.
OK, sorry, go ahead.
What you're describing there feels like treatment that should be reserved for criminals, people that have done wrong.
They are
criminals.
They are criminals. They're breaking the law.
They are criminals.
They are breaking the law.
They're breaking immigration rules.
Legally.
No,
It's legal
sometimes
and
if they've done
illegal.
criminal
No,
wrongdoing.
if they come in illegally, they're breaking the law.
They're breaking immigration rules. There's a very,
if they
very
come
slight
in under
difference.
asylum rules, they're not breaking the law. At the point where they are not given asylum, at that point, they are, in my understanding, they can be classed as breaking the law.
If they come in small boats, destroying their passports,
But
destroying
we're
all
not
means
really
of
talking
identity.
about those people at this
No,
point.
I thought we are. I
But
thought we were
that's
talking
making
about
a huge-
illegal immigrants.
Isn't that making a huge
Talking
assumption?
about people who have overstayed
The fact
visas.
that the illegal trafficking of human beings to this island is breaking the law is not the same as the people in those boats breaking the law. They
No,
may,
no, I
you
agree.
may claim that they're complicit. You may claim that they've got rid of their passports along the way.
they have.
You may be right in some cases.
Yeah.
Not all of them, though, Nick, surely.
The
You're not
majority-
claiming
the
that
majority-
100%.
The majority of people who come in small boats have no means of identification, so we don't know their names, we don't know their ages, and we don't know their history.
Okay,
is that desirable
Do you know,
to infiltrate
also,
in this
another thing
country?
That is
that what we want?
International law is
Yeah.
asylum law. So to
Okay,
be under
we have to go to the break.
It's the law that we take asylum seekers.
Listen, thank you for your call, Philip. Don't go anywhere because we're taking more of your calls on this shortly. Should the UK have a Trump-style deportation unit? 0207 862 2222. Supporters say it would strengthen border control, restore public confidence. Critics argue aggressive tactics risk deepening community tensions. What do you think? Let us know. Plus, should we pay GPs bonuses for prescribing fat jabs? Would it speed up the roll out of the drug, or are the financial incentives all wrong? We'll be back in just a moment. French Protestants. Between 1500 late the 1700s, about 25,000 came to London as refugees. They ended up bringing valuable trades. They were silk weavers in Spitalfields and Soho. Welcome back. We are live on 5. Amy and Nick are here with me, weaving their magic as well. Let's get straight to your calls, though. Should the UK have a Trump-style deportation unit? 0207 862 2222. Ken is in Kent. What do you reckon, Ken? Would you like to see squads of deportation command groups coming through the streets where you live?
Good morning, Matt. So, no, I certainly wouldn't. Look, anything like this, we have a multiracial country, They would be coming through here. Who are they going to target? How are they going to target? 20,000 at a time. Who are they going to be looking at? A brown skin, a black skin? Is that how they're going to target it?
Ken, no one's claiming that they will be making judgments purely on ethnicity, on appearance. If there is an asylum process, for instance, and somebody has been rejected through that asylum process, there are records of that person, and at that point, surely you would agree that they have to leave the country.
Okay.
They've been rejected.
Yeah, Matt, wait, let's just go back a stage. There are many, many ways people enter this country, and one of the worst ways of this nature in this country is overstayers. They come in as overstayers. They come here on a visitor's permit or a tourist visa, and they overstay and they disappear into the black economy. Those people, yes, you should find them, and that already happens. They have purges even now. The UKBA will go out and they'll find these people and they'll arrest them, and they will deport them.
Okay, so just just a little point of grammar here, Ken, which I'm sure you'll appreciate. Deportation is for people who've broken the law, who have committed a crime. Removal, I think, is the term for people who've overstayed. I just wanted to put that straight.
Okay.
Crack on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, people that have committed a crime, if you're here as a resident, let's say you're here as a resident, and you commit a crime which carries a 2-year prison sentence, then you are subject to deportation. Anything lower than that, you're not. but you'll never ever get citizenship, though. That's if you're here as a resident. Now, with these asylum seekers, they're not illegal, Matt. I heard you say that a while back. These people are coming over here because there is no way for them to apply offshore. We've lost the Dublin Agreement. There is no possible way they can apply offshore.
So
they come over here. Go on.
My understanding is, Ken, that once they have been rejected from asylum, they are illegal migrants at that point. The asylum process obviously is a legal process that while they're here, that's accepted internationally. So carry on.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, we've got, out of the 100%, 50%, as I understand it, 50% are accepted first time around. On balance, a further 24% after judicial review get through. So we have a small balance, about 26%. They are deported. If they can be deported, you can't send, how could you send back someone to a war zone? But let's take another case. Let's say the one that's been rejected is Pakistan. They're Pakistanis. Let's just make a hypothetical situation. They're Pakistanis. You've now got to get Pakistan to agree to take those people back. You just can't get them on a plane and send them back. So as I see what this consequence is going to be, we're going to end up, if this really did happen, we're going to end up with nothing more than concentration camps everywhere, carrying loads of people. It will cause racial division. It will continue to cause deep hate and distrust. Now, Matt, on a personal angle, my wife is Asian. She's from Trinidad originally, lived in America for 23 years, is there actually right there until Saturday. And we're seeing what's going on in the States with our ISA operating. I've got 4 Anglo-Indian children, Matt. I don't want them being singled out. I'm seeing it even now. I'm seeing all this racial tension. And all of this is just going to add to it.
OK, listen,
add to it.
Thanks for making your point. I'm going to come to you, Nick, here, because what Ken's talking about is his family and the way his family will be perceived. He says differently because there would be this presence of people that were seeking out those who should be removed or deported.
Well, I feel very sorry for what Ken says about the way his children are perceived. But isn't that the problem at the moment? Because this government and previous governments have been seen to not do their job, there is now a racial tension that wouldn't exist if people who shouldn't be here were actually removed or deported. Isn't the very nature of this cauldron because the government isn't doing what it should do?
Or is it because we talk about it so much, rather than talking about education or the National Health Service?
We're such a diverse country. We are so acceptance. We're the most tolerant country in the world. That, I don't believe, is everyone's problem. I think everyone accepts we're incredibly tolerant. I think what we don't accept is you can't be here illegally. If you've overstayed your welcome, you need to go.
Let's take another call, because I want to try and get through a couple. Karen's in London. Karen, do you think we need this kind of deportation command squad? What do you think?
Yes, I'm afraid to say we do. We're viewed here as such a soft touch. We have all these people coming over in the boats and they've been told, oh, come to Britain, you'll get free housing, benefits, everything. Our housing situation is in crisis. Now, to be honest, both Labour and the Tories, I agree with your panellist, they didn't do anything in the past. They just buried their heads in the sand. Every time a politician came to the door and we mentioned immigration, they screamed at us, racist. It is not. I'm afraid there comes a time when it might be the silent majority in this country, and we are the worst in the world for health tourism, meaning people come here. Our NHS is in crisis, but people come here and don't get charged for operations, all sorts of things. The statistics in the papers are this.
Karen,
I'm just incredulous.
How's it affecting you specifically? What is it that's changed in your life that you can hold at immigration's door specifically?
Yeah, because I would like to I'm in London. I appreciate it's very expensive. I would like to move and buy a better property, but it's so extortionately expensive for property, and I'm not the only one who feels that way. And by the way, I know the last person from Kent, I do have friends in Kent, and they feel the same as I do.
Karen, there are so many other factors that could influence the price of the house that you'd like to buy.
Yeah.
How can you hold it directly at immigration store?
Because the Conservatives, they let in almost 1 million legal migrants, and it says in the papers that the huge numbers are like another city full of people. We're a small island. We can't sustain these sort of numbers.
We're having to build a house every 5 minutes to accommodate
And
migrants.
who's building the houses? Who are the construction workers? Migrants are generally working age. They take very little out of the NHS. They're taxpayers. If you took all of the migrants out right now, our economy would go instantly into recession.
We have to leave it there. We have to leave it there. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Karen. And thanks for all your calls on that. We're going to take a quick break now. But as soon as we're back, should we give GPs bonuses for prescribing fat jabs? Is it a clever way to fight the obesity crisis, or is it a slippery slope? We're taking your calls now. And are you paying too much tax? Have you checked your tax code recently? Millions of us are on the wrong one. We don't even know about it. Accountant Mahmood Reza will be here to explain how to spot a mistake and why acting on it could put cash straight back in your pocket. 0207 862 2222. Don't go anywhere. Not the Cutty Sark. Just over 100 pilgrims, 30 crew, set sail for the east coast of the US in 1620 from Plymouth. More than 30 million people can trace their ancestry to the crew and passengers of the Mayflower. Hello again. We're live on 5. Amy and Nick are in the hot seats. They are ready and raring to go. As you can tell, we're also joined by Dr. Amos Ogunkoya, my friend, who is a GP. Don't forget, later on, are you paying too much tax? With new rules and frozen thresholds, many pensioners are paying more than they expected. Some of them actually paying tax for the first time. We'll have an accountant here to clarify the changes which could put more cash in your pocket. But time now for our next debate. Should we pay GPs bonuses for prescribing fat jabs? 0207 862 2222 is the number. I'd love you to call in now. GPs in England will be offered a cash incentive for prescribing weight loss jabs to patients. Yep, you heard that right. Bonuses for prescribing fat jabs, and they could be up to £3,000 a year. From April, they'll also get extra money, worth about £1,000 a year, for referring patients on to weight loss programmes. Why? Well, it's part of the government's wider plan to tackle obesity, which costs the NHS around £6.5 billion a year. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, described the drug as a real game changer and said access should be based on need, not ability to pay. The incentive payments will only apply to Mounjaro. And just to put this into perspective, an estimated 2.4 million people are now taking weight loss drugs in the UK, most of them accessing treatment privately. Amos, it's great to have you with us. Have you been in this situation? Have you prescribed Mounjaro or other health loss jabs? What's the process that's involved to start with?
It's getting more and more common. I think the issue that you highlighted really a lot is that it's mainly been done in the private sector. In the NHS, we're kind of really restricted by quite high standards to meet to be able to get it on the NHS. And so because of that, there's a bit of a divide. There's lots of people who are getting access to it because they can pay for it, and people who need it and can't pay for it aren't getting access to it. OK,
so I understand the idea that this shouldn't just be. This is beneficial for everybody. It's beneficial for the NHS. There are people desperately in need of it from a medical point of view. Great that it should be available on the NHS, but I don't understand the incentive.
OK.
That's something that possibly you're going to have to explain to me.
OK, so incentives, I know it sounds like it might be a conflict of interest, but they're really common in the NHS. And it's not you get paid for a certain amount of jabs. It's about the care surrounding that. It's about identifying people that are of need and meet that standards better. It's about tracking people who have side effects from it better. And it's about improving care and accessibility. So I think people often think it's about you get this amount of money for each jab. We have a lot of incentive-led care in the NHS, especially in primary care. So things like childhood immunisations, things like cholesterol management, and which is about reducing and improving people's long-term health.
Do you get financial bonuses then?
No,
because,
it's not.
Because this is basically a bonus. It's a freebie, isn't it? If you put someone on Mounjaro, you get £3,000. So what I'm asking is, are there any other drugs that you are encouraged to provide or prescribe that will result in a financial bonus in your wage packet?
So it's not that straightforward. You're not incentivized as in if you put someone on it, you get that. It's if people are on it and you track them correctly, if you make sure that there are people that are able to access it, get it, you will meet the points. But it's not designed to encourage people just signing checks because they get checks, prescriptions.
The key thing I think that people are going to be worried about is that the idea that you might make choices that you wouldn't make otherwise because there is a profit motive either for you personally or for the practice as a whole. What's in place to prevent that happening?
Yeah, and that's a really reasonable fear. But the reason why the point systems and how you get paid isn't directly linked to the medication and how you prescribe it, and linked to actually the payment is based on your overall care. So that's not so. The thing that's really important, the doctors aren't prescribing it. In fact, in primary care, we don't prescribe it. We refer people to centres where they are reviewed and then it's prescribed, and that's the incentive.
So you don't make that.
Yeah. So
the referral is the trigger point,
Yeah.
if you like, and then the care after that, whether it's prescribed, that's somebody else.
And the important thing
Can
is,
you do that irrespective of your financials?
yes, and we do that.
So you
irrespective.
do that in any case. It's part of
Exactly,
your job.
and that is part of the job, and that's why it's important. But incentives in medicine are designed to steer clinicians and make them think about options that sometimes, and we're all human, people need to understand the pathways that are there.
Or is it that the government are trying to save a cash load of the obesity crisis costs billions of pounds a year?
Yeah,
But it also costs billions of lives a year, which is different.
What's wrong with the idea that
wrong?
you reduce harm from obesity and you also save the NHS
Because I think
money?
there's a compromise. If you tempt people to prescribe a drug rather than, for example, discussing their exercise, their diet, what they eat, how they eat, that the doctors the medical profession can already do it. If you say there's a cash incentive, you're tilting the balance in favour of providing something that they're quite capable of already
I'm just
providing.
interested, Amy, you've listened to Amos's argument, his description, which is a much more sophisticated, nuanced description than the papers are giving us.
Yeah,
Are
absolutely.
you convinced, actually, by the way Amos is describing it?
The concern I have is there isn't long-term data on these jabs. Is that's true?
So these medications have been around for a long time, but at the doses we're using it for weight loss, there isn't a lot of long-term data. But the point that I was trying to get to is that we are looking at improving overall health outcomes. So obesity, we know, has its known risks. And we know that we improve productivity, healthcare, and actually the government and the country improves as a whole if people have healthier lives. Mounjaro and these tools are not a panacea. I do not think they should replace healthcare conversations whereby we're discussing the outcomes and lifestyle changes. But what they are is a tool, and that we need to be using better. We're not using them.
One conversation that I thought that we as a society had and put to bed was that health doesn't always indicate wellness. That you can live in a larger body and be as healthy as someone that's skinny. Someone that's skinny can be really, really unhealthy. And I feel like the downside of these jabs is that it's reopened that conversation that if you live in a slightly larger body, that could be your set weight. You could be like me, a size 12 to 14. When I went to the doctors recently, they told me I was overweight. And maybe I am overweight, but I have perfect blood pressure. I have perfect lung capacity. Wellness-wise, I was spot on. But because of drugs like this, we're now fixating on weight loss. Weight loss is the be-all and end-all, and that's my worry.
I think that's a good worry, and I think it's really important. But I think as a clinician, we have to separate morbid obesity.
But we don't.
I think clinicians do, and this is the reason why the
Clinicians
power
do,
is
society
given to
doesn't.
clinicians.
There are so many people overusing these drugs.
Is there enough of this drug to go around for people who are diabetic? Because that's the purpose of the drug, isn't it? And I've heard that if doctors start prescribing it in the way that's anticipated, there's actually going to be a shortage of the need that it was really created
That's
for.
a good point, but that's why in the data, one of the criteria is that you have to be diabetic and obese.
Oh, I see.
And another thing, you have to
hold
be
those
honest.
thoughts. There are so many calls coming in on this, and we're going to be taking them in a moment. Should we pay GPs bonuses for prescribing fat jabs? Is it a good idea? Do you think it could create problems? 0207 862 2222. That's the number you need. And are you paying too much tax? When's the last time you looked at your tax code? I've had a couple of shocks, I tell you. If the answer is never, you're not alone. Well, we're on a mission to change that and help you reclaim any money you're owed. We'll also be joined by an accountant, so if you've got a question, pick up the phone. You won't want to miss this. Horace Fletcher lost almost £40, for those of you who love Imperial, by chewing each mouthful of food up to 100 times. Fletcherism, as it's called, required you to chew your food until it became fluid, or you could just get a NutriBullet. Fletcher, an energetic man, by all accounts, I'm not surprised, hugely developed jaw, wrote a best-selling book on the subject and spread the gospel of chewing. Welcome back. We are Chewing the Fat here live on 5 with Dr. Amos, Amy and Nick. Later on, don't forget, in a minute, in fact, are you paying too much tax? That's what we're asking. Accountant Mahmood Reza will be here to explain how to spot if you are overpaying and how to get cash back as well. Also, what to do if you're underpaying. Can't wait for that, but we're going to take your calls now. Should we be paying GPs bonuses for prescribing fat jabs? 0207 862 2222. Barbara is in Cheshire. How are you doing, Barbara?
Oh, I'm absolutely fabulous. I would give my GP a gold medal.
OK.
I've been on Monjaro now for 15 months. I was diabetic. As you can tell, I was overweight. I've lost 7.5 stone. I've got arthritis in a bad way. My knee joints weren't working properly. My elbow joints weren't. I was in a wheelchair, so I couldn't do a lot of exercises. I now can use little weights, so I'm using it on my arms to get rid of the flabby bits, and I'm lifting my knees up to as far as I can, sat down. It's fabulous, and my doctor, like I said, deserves a gold medal.
OK. Barbara, what do you think then? The idea that this incentive might mean that more GPs reach out to somebody like yourself and save the NHS. It sounds like you're saving them tens of thousands. These were knee operations, possibly elbow operations, stuff that you would have needed if he hadn't helped you in this way.
Yeah, well, I was actually on 17 tablets a day. I'm now on 5 tablets a day. So anything, because a lot of people who go to a GP out of my area can't get it. So if they were supposed to give it an incentive for other GPs to give it to people in my condition who are actually in the wrong area, they're not in the right postcode, it should be available to everybody.
Barbara, if you'd had to pay for this outside of the NHS, you wouldn't have been able to do it.
I couldn't afford to pay for this. But
it's transformed your life. How do you feel about the idea that the GP themselves or the practice might be getting some money back from pushing you down that route?
Oh, I think it's well worth it, because my diabetic nurse has looked after me so well. I mean, she's rang me up. I've been in for blood tests. She is absolutely fabulous. And it was her and the GP that got together and discussed my case.
Well, listen, Barbara, we wish you continuing good health. Nick, I mean, hard to argue with that. That's not a quick fix. That feels like a really well thought out plan for Barbara.
Definitely, it's a way of achieving it. What I'm curious about is what happens. Does Barbara take that for the rest of her life?
That's what or
Barbara's still there. I mean,
Barbara, have
Barbara,
you been
still there?
Yes, I am, love, yes.
Hi, Barbara.
So do you end up taking this for the rest of your life now? Is that the way it's going to work?
Well, she's told me after 2 years, so coming up to November, it'll be my 2-year anniversary. I've educated myself now what not to eat and what to eat, and I'm exercising more than I did. And she said, well, we'll think about, because I'm only on the lowest dose. I've never even moved off the lowest dose yet. And you know how high your GP who's on there, know how high this dosage gets. I'm still only on the lowest dose. So I'm not sure whether, she said we'd discuss that, you know, when I move up to the next dosage. So, you know what I mean? They'll either take me off it, which it'd be brilliant, because I've, like I said, I've lost 7.5 stone and I feel on top of the world.
Well, good for you, Barbara, and we're so happy for you. And, you know, that sounds like you've got a great relationship with your GP as well, which is what we would all love, all love to have. We're going to take another call. Thank you, Barbara. Liz is in East Sussex. What do you reckon, Liz? Should we be incentivising GPs to push Manjaro? Is that the right word? Push feels a bit wrong. Encourage, if it's right, is that the right thing to do? What do you think?
I'm not against people having the jab, but I also coming from a different angle. I'm a type 1 diabetic for over 45 years. I've had to use 2 types of insulin, long and short acting, but I've now been told that the long acting insulin I use is going out of production because the company is making more money from the fat jabs than it's not worth them doing the long acting. So I'm now going to have to change to a different insulin with different regimes. And so from my point of view, it's having a different effect.
OK, so this is the broader economic effect of Manjaro being so popular, being so in demand. I mean, is Manjaro part of the equation for you at all, or is it?
It's the company
totally
that's
different?
producing my insulin. I don't know what they produce. I just feel that at the moment, so many people buy it themselves at a huge cost. They don't know the long-term effects. They don't know what they're buying half the time. I don't know what this company is producing, but obviously you're doing it for type 2 diabetics that are overweight, but it's having an effect for type 1 diabetics.
Do you think this is part of the argument
that they're using?
Is this part of the argument, Liz, for making sure that it is through the NHS, it is through GPs, so there are
Well,
rules
I don't
there.
know if the Manjaro is the one that this company makes. I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that obviously, from their point of view, they're making a lot more money out of producing fat jabs.
I mean, that is one of those unintended consequences, I suppose, isn't it, of this thing being so in the news, so popular at the moment, and not just being used for medical reasons as well. We know, Amos, that people are accessing this for cosmetic reasons as well.
Yeah, and that's a difficult and a different conversation, because I think it's really important, and we were saying earlier, obviously the aesthetic side of things is massive, and people tend to forget some of the metabolic health elements of this, which is really important. I think the point I would say about the type 1 diabetes and the market forces, and it is sad when things change, but I do think that the majority of a lot of people who are on insulin are type 2. And because they're poorly controlled, and we know some of these medications improve the control. But I'm sad to hear that. I wasn't aware of the
It's amazing. It's like the flip side of the conversation we had with Barbara, isn't it? It's transformed her life. Meanwhile, Liz is on the other side of the equation, and it sounds like the thing she's relied on for years isn't there anymore.
Well, I've heard anecdotally there's a shortage for type 1 diabetes, diabetics, of this particular drug, and that's the perverse irony.
It would be type 2, not type 1.
OK, well, listen, thank you, Liz, for letting us know about that. It's something that I don't think any of us were aware of, and I hope you managed to secure a supply of that drug, which sounds like it's absolutely crucial for you. Thanks for all your calls on that. And Amos, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You'll come back another time.
I will be here.
It's great stuff to have your perspective. After the break, are you paying too much tax? A simple tax code mistake could be costing you big bucks. It's happening more often than you might think. We'll tell you what letters and numbers really mean on your pay slip and how to spot if you're over or underpaying. Vanessa's going to be here too. She's going to be asking this. Should you have to pay for a pet rescue? Last week, a dog was winched to safety from a cliff edge in Dorset. It involved 40 people working across 2 days to rescue a cockapoo. Is that excessive? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. She'd love to hear from you. We'll be back in a moment. You want to know about this one. The inspiration for Taxman came after George Harrison discovered how much the Beatles' earnings went straight to the Treasury. John Lennon then suggested using the names of Prime Minister Harold Wilson, opposition leader at the time, Edward Heath. They were the first living people to be included in a Beatles song. Not the last, obviously. Welcome back. We are live on 5. Amy and Nick here with me. Also, we're now joined by accountant and author Mahmood Reza. Welcome to the show, Mahmood. It's great to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Listen, Vanessa's up shortly. She's going to be asking if you should have to pay for a pet rescue. If your pooch finds himself in a tricky spot, do you have to foot the bill? Or is it right to lend a helping hand? What do you think? First off, we're going to talk about something everyone has to deal with at some point or another, taxes. We're going to find out if you're paying too much tax, and we're going to start with the tax code. We're also talking about the changes affecting pensioners that might be leaving you out of pocket. If you're a pensioner, if you have a question about your taxes, pick up the phone now. Maybe Mahmood can help you. 0207 862 2222. Mahmood, it's a funny old situation we're in at the moment where there are going to be pensioners, we'll come to it in a second, who are going to be handing back some of the money that they've received either in benefits or through their state pension. It's a strange idea, isn't it?
It is absolutely a strange idea, but unfortunately it's here. We have to live with it, and I suppose it's just a question of how we navigate our way through it.
Yeah, well, you're here to help us do exactly that. We're going to start with the tax code.
OK.
I think when you come to codes, they need deciphering, don't they? And for a lot of people, they'll see the tax code, they might have seen it on their payslip and have no idea what it means. What is a tax code exactly?
I think a good way of looking at it is just to visualise your a chocolate cake which represents your income. Now, in the UK, you are allowed to have £12,570 worth of that cake. Nobody's going to touch it. It's all tax-free. Now, in order to make it work for, if you're a pensioner who might have a private pension they've built up, they may be working part-time to keep themselves socially active, but of PIN money, what happens is HMRC have got to think of a way, how do we tell that employer, that pension provider, how much tax should be taken off? And what they do, they convert that allowance into a tax code. Typically, it's a set of numbers and a digit at the end.
Let's have a look. We've got a pay slip here.
OK.
Now, of course, a pay slip is for those people who are employed, so it might not apply to everybody. But here we have the pay slip.
OK.
And down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we put a red ring around it and an arrow, and it says 1257L. What does that signify there?
OK, so let me take the two bits in stages. So the first thing, the number, 1257, if you add a 0 at the end of it, that's equivalent to a single person's allowance for the whole year. The letter L typically indicates somebody who's a single person and they've got no other issues going on, for example, like a private pension or any reasons to convert that code. Now, each month that goes by, approximately, they can earn £1,000 and no tax will be taken off them.
So this is the standard tax code that you might expect to have, that most people would expect if there's nothing going on around the edges, no special circumstances.
Absolutely.
OK, if it's not that number, then you need to check online and work out what it means.
Yeah.
Where would I go to find out what the tax code would mean if it's not that one?
Well, you've got a number of places you can look. You can always, obviously, contact HMRC. You can either contact, perhaps, your pension provider, who will be operating a coding system. HMRC are pushing everyone to have a tax account. They've got an app they've launched there, so you can actually log on digitally and check it. You can talk to somebody in your family who might be more digital savvy if you're not really comfortable doing that. So there are lots of different ways that you can check. And here's the kicker. HMRC will assume in their world that everybody should know what's going on around them and have access to information. So predominantly, it's the individual's responsibility to make sure the code is right.
And yet we know it's reckoned that about 30% of people are on the wrong tax code. Guys, have you ever come across this? Is this something you've ever had to challenge or be aware of?
I've been on the wrong tax code quite a few times, because when you are working a few different jobs, so now if you're freelance, a lot of the time they still wouldn't put you on PAYE.
Yeah, for sure.
So I never know what box to tick, because it's not my only job. I've got another job, but so then sometimes it will take a load of tax off me throughout the year, but then you do always get it back. But the problem is, if you've ever tried to phone HMRC, just make sure you block the afternoon out.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time.
And make sure you've got a strong flask of coffee or a drink of your
Snacks,
choice.
Provisions.
Exactly.
OK.
So, yeah, I have absolutely had grappling with tax codes.
Yeah, and I think most people are blissfully unaware of them as well.
But the thing is, if 30% of people are on the incorrect one, that must be confusing by design.
It's confusing. Well, OK, let's take two perspectives. It's not only 30%, but in monetary terms, that's about £3.5 billion, which is approximately £60 for each adult in the United Kingdom.
So
it's overpaying.
So there's overpaying. So we're saying there that actually HMRC benefits from us not checking our tax codes, not being aware, and predominantly it's an overpayment rather than an underpayment that people are making.
Yeah, more often than not. I've seen both cases where, generally speaking, people are overpaying. And they won't necessarily know they're overpaying because they assume, quite correctly, that somebody else has taken care of it. The second thing, just as we heard here about if you've got another job, if you don't tell your employer or your employer gets it wrong, they might assume that's the only income you've got, don't take any tax off you, and when it comes time at the end of the year when everything's collected together, you suddenly find out you've actually been underpaying tax.
Yeah. Now, this is becoming more of an issue for pensioners, hasn't it? Because of what's happened with their state pension, the triple lock, and the way that's grown, and the threshold. What is it exactly that's pushing people into taxation where they might not have been before, ever in their lives?
I would say it's probably a combination of factors. It's a bit like a perfect storm. You've got pensions going up, as it naturally should be. You've also got a lot of people now who are retired, who might want to keep themselves socially active, bit of pen money, getting a part-time job. A lot of people have worked, they've got private pensions that are kicking in. And when you put it all together here, what's happening is now you're over that £12,570. Tax is going to be taken off, and the codes become more apparent here because HMRC, as I said, will assume in their world that everybody is organising things correctly. That doesn't tend to be the case there. So I think, and also the other factor is that 12,570 I've quoted you has been frozen in time for quite a long number of years.
Fiscal drag.
So fiscal drag.
The posh term is fiscal drag, yeah.
OK,
absolutely.
so basically the allowance hasn't got any bigger.
No.
The pension has grown. People might have other things as well on top of that. People that never dreamt their state pension, or that they would go into tax because they were just on the state pension, suddenly find themselves having to find a tax code and checking it's right. So we saw a pay slip there.
OK.
As a pensioner, I might not have a pay slip. I might not have an employer. Where do I go looking for my tax code to check it?
OK, so in theory, not everybody has one. You can get what's called a personal tax account set up. And as we've heard already, HMRC is very much viewed the world in digital terms there as well. There are human beings involved still, but that's becoming less and less so here. So you have a digital tax account that you can create, and in theory, all the information about you gets congregated there. So that's one way to look. You can ring up, and I have to say, and I've done this for over 30 decades. 30 decades. Let's go 31 years, actually.
OK.
That, you know, HMRC have got facilities like chat. There are charities that can help if you're not quite sure what to do. So HMRC typically, go via their app, go via your digital tax account. If you have got a private pension, by the way, they will treat it like PAYE, so paying as you earn, and you should get a slip each month or every quarter that tells you how much pension you paid, and the code is on there.
It genuinely feels like something that maybe a trusted family member or somebody who's digitally savvy, you can save yourself that wait on the phone to HMRC if you've got someone that knows what they're doing, that you absolutely trust.
Absolutely agree with that,
really, really important. Nick, do you grapple with HMRC? Have you spent time on the phone, or do you know what you're doing? Because I hate to say this, you don't look like it, but you're a pensioner.
I am a pensioner. I've been a pensioner for quite a long time.
Right.
Well, I'm very lucky because I've got an accountant who deals with it for me. So, I mean, I am aware that everything now, because I'm an employee of a limited company, I have a limited company and I'm an employee, but my accountant deals with everything for me, but I am aware it's all gone digital now.
You can't have an accountant help if you're on PAYE.
OK, so tell us about...
You can and you can't, but it's a question about whether you've got the resources to actually,
There's a great charity, remember, before we go, isn't there, that can help you get familiar with this stuff?
Yeah, there's a charity called TaxAid. That's their new name now. Typically, they'll help people. I think they've got a ceiling where they give free help. It's about $28,000 a year.
OK, 3 big tips to leave people with if they're worried about their tax code. What are they?
I would say probably check your code.
Yep.
Number one, and take that 1257 as a benchmark. If it fluctuates, check out what's going on.
Yep.
Number two, don't panic. Don't overstress. OK. Anxiety is not going to be your friend when you're trying to figure this out.
Don't bury your head in the sand like
exactly.
an ostrich.
An ostrich stance is not a good look.
OK. And there's help there if you need it as well, as we said, from that fabulous charity. There are others available as well. Thank you, Mahmood. We've covered a lot of ground there. Before we go, I want to quickly let you know about tomorrow, when we'll be joined by sleep expert Dr. Narina Ramlakhan. She's going to be telling us the hacks that work to help you sleep and the products that promise to get you off to the land of Nod, but that actually aren't worth your cash at all. Share your experience. Send us any questions about your sleep problems. We'll answer them all tomorrow. Do get in touch on WhatsApp 075 99639 896. Don't go anywhere though, people, because Vanessa is here next, and she's asking if parents are to blame for fussy eaters. A new report suggests kids who are allowed a tablet or phone at the table are more likely to become fussy eaters. Do you buy that? The device is a no-no at your table? Get your calls in 0207 862 2222. Thank you so much, Mahmood. Join us again sometime. Amy and Nick, wonderful as always. And thanks to you for watching and for all your calls. I'll see you back here same time tomorrow. But don't go anywhere because Vanessa's here right now.